For today's work, you will need different colored construction paper. I used red, orange, yellow, green, and blue. But you can use any colors that you have at home. I suggest using at least 5 different colors. Then I lined each color up next to each other, just like a train. Now go on a hunt around your house and try to find different things to match each color. Let me show you a few things that I found at my house, and you can tell me where they would go. So the first thing that I found was this magnet tile. Where do you think it would go on the train? Over here? No. This is a blue magnet tile, so this would go in the blue train car, right at the end, the caboose. Now, what about this? I found this piece of corn in my son's pretend kitchen. Where would this go? Oh, yep, the yellow corn goes on the yellow train car. Now, what about this feather? Where would this feather go? Over here? No, we're looking to match the red feather with the red train car. Here we go, right at the front. Next, I found this color spoon. What color do you see? Orange. There's only 2 empty train cars left. Would it go over here or over here? You're right. The orange spoon goes in the orange train car. And look, I have 1 empty green train car. And I found this green glove. There we go. Our train car is all full. The best part of this work is that you can keep going and going until you have filled up each train car with all different color items that you found around your house. Let's get back to circle time. For today's work, you will need some different color paint, a couple of vehicles, preferably vehicles that have different types of grooves on their tires in different patterns, and some colored construction paper. Once you have your paint, take a vehicle and drive the tire through the paint. This is a motorcycle, so it has 2 tires. I want to make sure that I have lots of paint, and then I'm going to drive my motorcycle on the paper. Ooh. Can you see the different types of patterns that the tires made? Let's try the pickup truck. This pickup truck has 1, 2, 3, 4 tires. I'm going to use yellow paint this time. So I'm going to dip all 4 tires in. All right. Move my paint out of the way. And now I'm going to drive my pickup truck. I wonder if these tire tracks will look the same as the blue ones or any different. Ooh, look at that. The tire tracks are different. An extension to this activity would be to line a coffee table or a child-sized table with black construction paper, kind of like a road, and then have your child drive the vehicles around the road. Let's get back to circle time. For today's work, you are going to be polishing some vehicles to make them nice and shiny. You're going to need some coconut oil, a small rag or cloth, and a couple of wooden vehicles. So first I'm going to take the lid off my coconut oil, and then I'm going to take my small cloth, take my counting finger like this, and drape the cloth over it so that it covers my counting finger. Then I'm going to pull it tight and use my other fingers to wrap around the cloth so that it's nice and tight. Then I'm going to dip my finger into the coconut oil, and you don't need a lot. Just a little bit will work a long way. I'm going to start polishing. I'm going to rub the coconut oil all over these wooden vehicles, and I notice that they start to get really shiny. But what happens if I use too much coconut oil like this? Do you see how it's all lumpy and bumpy? The vehicles aren't clean. So if I have too much on my rag, I can just wipe it off like this, or I can use the extra and make sure that I just spread it out all around the vehicle to get it shiny and clean. Just like this. So if you don't have any wooden vehicles like mine, you can just use plastic ones and polish and clean them with a damp rag instead. Let's get back to circle time. For today's work, you're going to need a paper bag or some newspaper and any type of basket or bowl. Now what you're going to do is, you're going to take the paper that you have, rip it up. You hear that sound? Crumble it up like this into a ball. Let's do a couple more. Rip it. And crumble, crumble, crumble. One more piece. Oh, that one's pretty small. Crumble it into a ball. And once you have your balls of paper, we're going to fill up the recycling truck. Now this is a tossing game. So I'm going to take my balls of paper and try to toss it into my recycling truck over here. There I go. Oh, I got it in. Got it in again. Let's see if I can make this smaller one. I did it. So you can use all the paper you want to fill up your recycling truck right there. But once you're done with the game, make sure that you use your paper and recycle it again or reuse it. I'm going to reuse this paper by smoothing it back out, and I can use it for wrapping presents later. Let's get back to circle time. For today's work, you will need a large bowl of water, a plate that floats, and a couple of small toy cars. You can also use small blocks to represent the cars instead. Put the plate inside of the bowl of water like this, and then we're going to start loading the toy cars onto the plate, just like a ferry boat. Keep going until the plate gets too heavy and it may start to sink. Oh, look at that side. It's starting to go under the water a little bit. How many cars do you think it's going to take until the plate goes underwater? Do you think you will use the same amount of cars that I do or a different amount? Oh no, and it sunk. How many cars did it take? Let's count together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Do you think that you'll be able to load 5 cars onto your ferry? Let's get back to circle time. For today's work, you are going to be sailing a sailboat on a windy day. You will need some Play-Doh, a popsicle stick or a twig, some tape, a top from some Tupperware containers, a straw, and a triangle. I cut out a right triangle like this. If you're comfortable using scissors, you can have your grown-up draw a right triangle for you, and then you can use scissors to cut it out yourself. So the first thing that you're going to do is take your Play-Doh and roll it, roll it, roll it into a small ball. You're going to take your ball and press it onto the Tupperware container top, just like this. Now you need to make your sail. So I have my popsicle stick. If you don't have a popsicle stick, you can use your twig. And you want to attach the sail to the popsicle stick. So I'm going to use a piece of tape to attach them together. Any type of tape will work. And I think that I'll start off with just one piece. So I have my triangle and I have my popsicle stick. I'm going to just tape them together like so. Oh, look at that, it's like a little flag. Oh, maybe I'll add one more piece of tape to the back, just to make sure that it's secure. We don't want our sail coming off on a windy day. There we go. Now once you have your sail made, you're going to push it into your Play-Doh. And look at that, you have a little sailboat. Now if you want, you can fill up your bathtub, if your grown-up says that that's okay, and float your sailboat on top. Or you can just fill up a big bowl of water instead. Now, what does a sailboat need to move? Do they use engines or propellers? No, a sailboat needs wind. So it's your job to use your straw and blow wind in the direction of your sailboat like this. And you can sail your sailboat across the water on a windy day. Let's get back to circle time. Many people love to go fishing on boats. So for today's work, we're going to be going fishing inside. You will need a pair of scissors, a couple of pipe cleaners, a stick with a piece of string, I used yarn, and a magnet. Now what I did was, on one end of my yarn, I wrapped and tied a magnet like this. I wrapped it a couple of times to make sure that the magnet wouldn't slip off. And then I tied the other end to my stick. And look at that, I have a fishing pole. Now it's time to make the fish. So you're going to take your pipe cleaners and cut them in half. And we're going to make the fish. If you need a little help, you can always ask your grown-up to do this for you. You're going to take your pipe cleaner and twist it like this so that it's folded. And do you see when I cross the two ends over, it looks like a little fish. So I'm going to just twist the tail like that, and there you go, a fish. Take all of your pipe cleaners, fold them in half, leave a little bit for the tail at the end, and twist the tail up like that. Oh, that one came undone. So fold it over and twist your tail on the end. There you go. You're going to do that to all of your pipe cleaners so that you have a bunch of little fish swimming around. Now it's time to go fishing. So you take your fishing pole with the magnet on the end, drop it into the water, try to catch a fish. And look at that. I caught one. Oh, it's hard to stay. There we go. I caught a fish. Can you try and catch all of the fish that you made? Good luck. Let's get back to circle time. For today's work, you will need an empty roll of toilet paper or paper towel. So any type of cardboard roll will do. And what you want to do is decorate the outside. You can use markers or stickers. The next thing that you need to do is cut out 2 pieces of wings that will be used for the airplane. 1, 2. And then you can use some tape or glue to attach them to both sides of the airplane. The last thing that you need today is a long piece of yarn or string. So after you've decorated your airplane, you need to take one piece of the yarn or string and attach it to one end of the room. Then you're going to loop your airplane or paper towel or toilet paper roll through the yarn or string and attach it to the other side of the room. And look at that! You have an airplane that you can fly through the room. You can fly it really fast or slow. How fast will your airplane go? Let's get back to circle time. So for today's work, you are going to need a coffee filter, any type of string. I have some yarn here. A figurine. You just want to make sure that the figurine has 2 arms. A pair of scissors and a hole punch. And this is optional. You don't need to have this. Now the first thing that you're going to do to make your parachute is take the coffee filter and you're going to fold it in half like this. We need to make 2 holes in the parachute. So I'm going to use my hole punch, and again, you can just use a pair of scissors instead. And on one side right here, I'm going to punch a hole like this. And then I'm going to do the same thing on this side. So take your pair of scissors and cut a small hole or use the hole punch. Now when we open up the parachute or the coffee filter, we should have 4 holes. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. The next step is to take the string. You're going to cut 2 pieces about 1 foot long each. So this is the first string, and we need 1 more about 1 foot long. And remember, friends, if you need help from a grown-up, always make sure to ask. Some of this can be a little bit tricky, cutting and folding, so just ask a grown-up for help on those parts. The next step is you're going to take your figurine and you're going to take 1 piece of string and you're going to hook it underneath the arm on one side like this. So it's just hanging. And you're going to do the same thing with the other string on the other arm. So just hook it under the arm like this. Now we need to attach our parachuter to the parachute. So this part might be a little bit tricky. You're going to take the extra string that's looped under one arm and you're just going to loop it through the 2 holes on the coffee filter. So pull the string through 1 hole and then you're going to do the same thing to the other hole. Pull the string through and then you're just going to make a little knot like this. Tie it up. So one end is underneath the arm and then the other end is just tied and looped through these 2 holes here. Now we're going to do the same thing to the other side. So you're going to take this extra string from the other arm and you're going to loop them through the other set of holes. Sometimes it's a little bit tricky getting the string through the hole. There we go. 1 more. And when the string is through both holes, just tie it together to secure it. Just a little knot. Almost done. And look at that. When you hold it up, you have a parachuter. So up here is your parachute and the person is attached at the bottom. Now that you have the parachute, your next step is to find a high location for the parachuter to fall from. So if you need help making the parachute, your grown-up can help you with that part, and then it will be your turn to have the parachuter drop from a high spot. Let's get back to circle time. For today's work, you will need loose parts because you will be designing your own type of vehicle. Now, loose parts are any types of materials that you may find outside in nature or inside your house, and they could be used however you want. So the loose parts that I have some Play-Doh, I have some pine cones and some twigs that I found outside. I also have various craft materials. So I have some popsicle sticks, some pipe cleaners, I have a couple of wooden circles, and I have some tape, some glue, and some scissors. So I'm not exactly sure the type of vehicle that I want to design yet. So first I'm going to start off by rolling out and mushing this Play-Doh. Now I think that I'm going to add some popsicle sticks and see what happens. I added 1, 2, 3, 4 popsicle sticks. They kind of remind me of animal legs like this. Maybe my vehicle will be able to walk like an animal. Maybe I'll add some feathers because this vehicle can crawl, but it can also fly in the air like this. Now the fun thing about this work is that there's no right or wrong way to do it. You can design the vehicle any way that you'd like. Maybe your vehicle will fly in the air but also swim underwater like a submarine. Let's get back to circle time.